judging includes a sensitivity. There is also an element of love in it, isn't it? An element of sympathy in it. An element of accommodation in it. So it's much. Judging doesn't simply mean that you can sit there and do whatever you want to do. No. You can't do whatever you want to do. In fact, quite frankly, when I sit with my brothers and sisters on the Supreme Court, I soon realize how contained one is, or how constrained one has to be when I make pronouncements on the bench, however uncomfortable it might be. So therefore, remember that the judiciary, you have a role to play to be impartial, to instill that public confidence. So therefore, we no longer live, therefore, in these ivory towers that insulate us from the attention of the community. Now today, as you know, what you say on the bench, just by a flick of a button, is sent right across the Atlantic, through Europe, in a matter of seconds. That's the world we live in today. Today, you know, medical science is advanced that you can probably sit in the United States and probably do a little operation, a procedure in Colombo, through using technology. It might soon be that the judge would be sitting in Jaffna and be trying a case in Mathura. It can well be. What's the difficulty? If I can hear a witness over a video link, why can't I hear the evidence on a video link? That might well be the case. So therefore, the fierce glare, I say, the fierce glare of the publicity is focused on judges. So only the highest standards of judicial conduct, therefore, and a lifestyle beyond the slightest reproach. And it says, like Caesar's wife beyond suspicion, will earn for each one of us, for you, the confidence of the public. So remember, your conduct must be beyond reproach. Now you might think, well, what is CJ talking about? You know, he is giving us standards which we can never live up to. I can assure you that you are living up to it every day, every minute. But I'm just reminding ourselves, because some of us, we get waddles of petitions on a daily basis. On a daily basis. අනේ හාමුදුරනේ මේ උන් ලියන්නේ මෙහෙමයි. අනේ හාමුදුරනේ මේ අපේ නඩු තීන්දුව වෙන කලින් අපි දැන් අවුරුදු 4ක් බලන් ඉන්නවා. අද මං උසාවියට ගියාම අද නඩුකාරුන් වහන්සේ නැල්ලු. අනිද්දා ගියාම උසාවියට අද නඩුකාරුන් වහන්සේ පින්කමකට ගිහිල්ලලු. එන සතියේ ගියාම අනේ දලදා වන්දින්න ගිහිල්ලයි කියලා කියනවා. ඉතින් 3-4 වතාවක් අපි ආගමික වතාවන් කරගෙන ඉන්න ගමන් අර මිනිස්සයා උසාවියට එනවා. Now what do you think of that man's predicament? Recently I had a petition to say that every time the case came up, 3 times the judge was absent from the court on that particular day. On that particular day, the particular judge was absent, and he makes it so consistently sure that he gets absent on the day that particular case. Well, that's what the person said. But finally it was resolved amicably, but at least peacefully. But that is what goes on. We get petitions every day. අද නඩුකාරුන් වහන්සේ මට බොහොම නරක වචනෙන් බැන්නා. One judge actually even went on to say තමන් දොස්තර කෙනෙක් නෙමෙයි තමන් කොන් දොස්තර කෙනෙක් කියලා කිව්වා. And the GMOA actually took it up with me and said, is this how your judges treat our doctors? තමා පල් හොරෙක්. No, these are the words used from the bench. Treat them with scant regard. Poor people are treated with scant regard simply because you are all powerful. Remember, you are not all powerful. You do that today. Remember that you run the peril of being removed tomorrow. I'm not holding out a threat, but I'm only saying, can we behave like that? I'm only saying, be affectionate to the worst of those fellows who come before you. It is only then that we can dispense justice to the best of them, my dear friends. That's my experience. I've been 38 years at the bar, half of which I have spent with the public service, the other half in the private sector doing in private practice. And I've also been a banker, a chairman of a bank for almost a year. And have worked with the public service for long years and had long experience. And I can tell you, one of the cardinal reasons for perhaps some success in whatever I did was the manner in which I interacted with people even today. Even today. If I see an old friend of mine or an old lawyer, a very old lawyer, I would talk to him and say, "How are you, sir, today, this morning?" That's what I would do. It cost me nothing. But to that old practitioner, it's a big thing. The Chief Justice saying, "How are you, sir, this morning?" Now, if I can do that, why can't you do that? That is not going down on your knees, no. Be courteous, that's a way of talking to people. Remember, as I said, 1,000 eyes are watching you. The way we speak, can I take advantage of the fact that I am presiding on a bench and that no questions can be asked from me, no critique can be made of me, and talk badly or talk down to people? There are times you got to be very firm. There's a big difference between being firm and being rude. Being firm and being rude are distinctly different things. I tell you today, my dear friends, you cannot be rude from the bench. If you are rude from the bench, you bring down the entire reputation of our judiciary. That's what happens. We cannot afford to get angry. I spoke to a judge recently about a particular matter, and I said, "Well, why did you do this?" He said, "Sir, I got very angry with that fellow." I said, "No, listen, you can't get angry with fellows." And we adjusted the thing and the matter was brought under control. But the fact of the matter is that he got angry with personalities. But remember, we can't get angry. We can't be rude. We've got to be contained in what we say. We can't be sarcastic. I have had the pleasure of judges being sarcastic when I was in private practice. I've heard many judges shoot off the hip. Something very nasty, something very catty, if I was to use that word. Something very discourteous. That's simply because, remember, whose power are you exercising? The power of the state? I'm not too sure whether the state gave you the power to behave in such a difficult way. I'm not too sure the people of this country mandated you to behave in such way. And I'm definitely sure that the state and the people of this country will want you removed faster than you were appointed if you were continuing to behave in that way. So please, I'm merely saying, sensitize yourself to the need to controlled behavior. To controlled behavior. If you cannot, I strongly recommend that you really leave the judiciary. This is not the place for you. Do priests get angry? If we are of a monastic order, this must be utter rubbish that these guys are writing about us, if that was the case. If we were priestly in our vocation in life, do we get angry? If someone confesses to you of the worst of sins, do we get angry? No, we don't. Instead of which, we have a mechanism to put in place. We have a mechanism to execute. So those are the things. We have tremendous power. So use them with circumspection. So therefore, my dear friends, by and large, I'm not saying that we do not win public confidence. No. But blemishes keep occurring with disconcerting regularity that I need to actually bring this up so that you will actually know that what the public actually thinks of you. So you have to therefore bear in mind that when the judges accept judicial office, that when you accept a judicial office, that you do not abdicate humanity. You do not abdicate humanity. The day you abdicate humanity and you give up being human, please, I think the time has come perhaps to move yourself out of the judiciary and perhaps think of some other profession. You have to be human. You must be affectionate. You must be accommodating, sympathetic. Remember that 9 out of 10 people who come before us are not of a very great social order. 75% of this country are not of the social order that you and I belong to. That I think the Treasury will bear testimony to that. And that is why if one looks at the financial provisions that have been made this time, in the statement, in the appropriation bills, in the Act, money is well spent for the alleviation of the simple of middle income and smaller folk. Why? Because that is this country. And we are a selected few to keep things in order. So therefore, we find we cannot be behaving in the most inhumane way towards the public. Judicial arrogance, I say, is one attribute that not permeate our vocabulary. We can't be arrogant. Somebody told me that when the judge was actually driving his car from one town to another and somebody overtook his car, he was stopped and told, "Do you know whom you are overtaking?" So that man is, "Sir, mama danne naha me car athulane manga inne." Did you know that you overtook the judge? What a shame. What a shame. In another case, the judge pulled up at a cycle shop and said, "Pump my 4-wheel drive." And then came a little scooter with a 12-inch wheel, and now this 4-wheel drives have big wheels. So that fellow pumped the air into the scooter. He said, "How dare you pump air into a scooter without pumping my 4-wheel drive first? Have you got a license to run this tire shop here? Hasn't that tire water breeding dengue mosquitoes?" He berated the little tire shop owner. "Minister, it was in your area." The area. He went back to court, told the police to have the man arrested, brought to court and charged for running a tire shop without a license. And then he said, "I will not allow you to practice your trade for the rest of your days." Now that is what the judge did. So I got the judge down and asked him, "What is all this?" And of course he was humble enough to apologize to the man to whom he caused that terrible kind of hurt at that particular time. A few weeks didn't pass when another judge was driving a car and when he saw a horse being trotting actually towards him. And he said, "How dare you trot a horse, actually ride a horse on the high road when I am driving on this road?" These are not fairy stories. These are not things that I have made up. These are true bestsellers. These are bestsellers. And I had to again call that man and said, he said, "The horse was nearly crashing into my car." I said, "Your defense is worse than what you have done, the offense." And I said, "Please don't repeat this again. That man has been riding his horse for the last 25 years on that road, long before you started driving your car." Now that is what happens. Now, so therefore, my dear friends, let's not, the public confidence therefore is very important. There is no room for complacency. The judge and even perhaps family members must take precaution, I say. I'm sorry to say this, but even family members must take precaution to see that they do not get involved in the cross currents of the day and misdemeanors that may impinge upon the judge's reputation. I say family members simply because we had one story where the wife of the judge was driving a car and was parked and went and banged into a car that was parked at a traffic light. How good her driving was. Successfully managed to bang into the car that was parked at the traffic lights. And what did the judge's wife do? She rang the police and said, "You know who I am? I'm the judge's wife." So I said, "Ma'am, yes, of course." They were there in a jiffy and charged the man who was in the front car of the failure to avoid an accident. These are laughable things. And said, "If you don't, repair the judge's car. Repair the judge's car." So I had to actually call him and read the riot act to him and said, "Before I surcharge you for the damage you caused to the car in front, please tell your wife to stop driving the government car. Please get it repaired." And that ended the story there. I had a big laugh about it and sent him away. But look at it. This is the judge's wife actually, or the spouse who behaves. So it's important that you keep your children, your spouses also well informed of the need to maintain a low profile, my dear friends.